welcome to Along the Rock, brought to you by the Radar Free Press. I'm your host, Kaitlyn Blum. Today with me I have Scott Schumard, City Manager for the City of Sterling.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you.
I appreciate it. It's good to be seen.
So I want to first talk about last meeting. There was some discussion about a new development, downtown Riverfront, Barrels and Boards Entertainment Center. Mm-hmm. So can you tell me what was discussed at the meeting?
So I hate to put the cart before the horse, but we're kind of very preliminary at this stage. We've got conceptual drawings of what the place would look like. But we haven't gotten to the property transfer. We haven't gotten to the whole closing of the deal. We're still pretty far from that. They're working aggressively. I'll give them that. But we've got some local gentlemen, 3 of them, put together a partnership, and they would like to take that building that's at the base of Locust Street, so kind of across from Brinks and Kelly's area there, and turn that into both a food and entertainment venue. And it's the concept is really cool, and they would be taking that entire one-story building, and if you go down Locust Street, you would run into it essentially, but they were planning on taking out the brick wall and putting in glass windows, so it would be very open and transparent, and really, 1, lighten the building up, 2, make it look a little bit more appealing than it is now, and then go in there and then have a combination of a brewery, distillery, and bringing in some local wineries too, so like they reference like Wide River Winery over in Clinton, and be able to offer those things here locally. And so I think that it would go over well. It's just that retrofitting an old building is never cheap, for number 1. 2, there's a lot of things that have to be done because it was a warehouse space, and then when you go and turn something like that into a commercial space, you start tripping all the codes for fire code, life safety type things. So firewalls, fire sprinkler systems, and fire alarms. And it doesn't sound too expensive, but it starts to add up in a real hurry. So we've got, they're working on putting the numbers together. We were able over the years to collect a lot of the building plans from National, but unfortunately they're in boxes and boxes that are unsorted. It's just what we were able to find. So we've combed through a little bit and found some things. They've been combing through trying to find things, but otherwise, it's kind of taking what they have, and they're still going to have to go back to an architect and have everything drawn up. So there's a process there, but I'm hopeful and optimistic this thing takes off. But it generates a lot of excitement, obviously, right, in the public, and I don't want to ever temper that down too much. But I just want, it's early, but hopefully within 12, 18 months, things are really moving down there with that, and it'd be a wonderful addition, and it's right on the edge of downtown, and I think that just helps carry us on towards the farmers market and towards the riverfront area. So it's a nice infill piece, and obviously I think something that's needed here. For whatever reason, this area is lacking, a brewery distillery type operation. We've had a few interests over the years, but nothing's ever taken off. So I think having that's kind of a missing piece to that kind of little downtown local cool vibe that the community really embrace.
For sure. Has this developer ever taken on a project similar to this?
Not that I'm aware of. One of the partners has managed commercial buildings before, so it's not completely foreign to them. But again, all 3 of them having local ties. I know a couple of them have taken off and then come back to the area over the years. So it's kind of cool to, it's not just somebody on the outside looking to turn a buck or something like that. Yeah. I think they are really committed to the community and kind of leaving, really putting a stamp on the community for their legacies personally.
So what would the city have to contribute for this project to happen?
So that's one of the things we haven't gotten to yet. So we've met with them several times already, talking about just more of the building code aspect, the fire code aspect. They're down there yesterday investigating where the utilities are coming in, because a lot of those things aren't mapped out, especially in the downtown and the older areas of the community. So they try to figure out where the sewer is going in. We were just going through there yesterday and found that the city's got a sewer line that runs underneath the edge of one building and through the warehouses on the back. So those things, like putting easements in place, kind of the mundane, really, but stuff we need to secure. Trying to figure out where electric comes in, and that's always a huge thing because of the amount of power going into that building. But those are the next steps, and then I think getting a more they've got a business plan, but kind of vetting out more how the financials will work, because not necessarily in this case, but on the city's behalf, what we're always looking for is protecting the city, because we turn a building over, and I'm sure you've seen this in the past, where somebody goes in to do something and it doesn't follow through, and then it becomes the city's burden again. So as long as we control the property, we kind of have a hand in what happens, and if something doesn't happen, we can go back out and remarket. Whereas if we just give away a building and then nothing happens, and then 5 years later, we have no control over it, and we're stuck with a vacant property or a problem property that's, not that National's overly maintained, but at least we have some ability to maintain and things like that. And we just want to really, everything we do, and I know one of the other topics we'll talk about is really just trying to keep the long term. We don't want to see that short-term pop, and then long-term we've got a bigger problem on our hands than what we would have had before. So,
Yeah, so basically we're at the very beginning stages. The timeline is going to be years.
Yeah, they seem pretty aggressive, and like I said, they daily, we've talking about codes with them on Monday, and then on Tuesday they're down seeking out plans, and Wednesday they're going through, or Tuesday they're actually looking for the utilities too. And they're moving quick, and so that's all good signs. They're excited. And again, we're excited to have it there because I think it'd be a great addition to the downtown and the community overall.
Excellent. So, consensus is that it's not a sure thing, but there's a lot of positive,
yes.
trades happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, a lot of it goes to the pace of the developer, and again, a topic we'll talk about after this. But they're moving hard, and I give them full credit. They're putting full-time attention into this, so it should move as quickly as they possibly, as their time will allow them.
Mm-hmm. So we have a couple of developments going on too. There might be a Dollar General.
So yes, so anybody who's wondering what the construction is up on North Locust Street, that's one where, again, the speed of the developer is up to them. So they came in initially really wanting to push to get that project going, and we had to push back on some things because the trick in city government, you don't want to be the bad guy, but you have to be the bad guy at times, and to protect the community again. So when it comes to, nobody wants to spend more than they have to. I can appreciate that, but when it comes to things like stormwater or fire codes and things like that, we just can't allow corners to be caught. And it was funny, I was driving through Milwaukee this weekend with all the deluge that they had, and I was just reminded of all the times that people have pushed back on stormwater ordinances and what they have to do for stormwater, and nobody cares about stormwater or flooding until that one rain event every 5-10 years happens. Water is everywhere, because it's an expense that you're putting out there that it doesn't seem like, day to day it doesn't really impact you. It's just that one big thing that happens every so many years. And so there was pushback on that, and they were trying to reduce what they had to do, and we have to push and say, no, this is what we need. So that took some time, and they finally got all their permits, they got everything in line, and then work started, and then we're not really sure what the time frame is now. So we're all kind of surprised by how hard they pushed, that now things are kind of sitting there. But eventually, and this is, again, the difference between the previous project we discussed. It's local guys, and this one is somebody from out of the area. And there's always that thing too, is we've dealt with out of the area people. Obviously, their motivation is turning a profit, whereas we've got local guys who are both, of course, wanting to turn a profit. That's how you stay afloat, keep the business running, but also have an interest in doing something good for the community. And so we're always trying to balance that. So I don't know where they're at now, or what the holdup is. That's on their end, and up to them to decide. And they're free to do what they want at this point. So long as they're complying with what's been approved. But we'll see how soon that project finally finalizes here.
So where would it be located at?
It's going to be just next to the Red Apple up on Locust Street.
Oh, yeah, it's like Benny's now, so it'd be Dollar General. Do you feel like that's going to negatively impact Kroger's or CVS?
I think as a local citizen and community member, I think I'm pretty sure the consensus would be that Kroger needs to do an update anyway.
Yeah.
So
it might push them in the right direction.
If anything, hopefully it pushes them to do it. I don't know that it would necessarily impact them. It's amazing the transformation that we've seen in the last 2 decades. How the dollar stores have really come into communities, and it's surprising that we can have $3 Generals in the city of 15,000, right? And plus, the Dollar Tree and whatever else and that we have. So it's just a change in the commercial environment out there. But if they're dog eat dog world, I guess sometimes.
Yeah, they're convenient being close. So I just thought of one other. There's another thing going on too. The old Applebee's. It recently got painted.
Yeah.
So I remember that started when I was still on city council.
Right.
So I think people were wondering what's going on with that.
As we were discussing previously, before we went on, I was on vacation and I come back through the east end of Sterling and just it catches your eye. And my understanding is that was just like a primer coat because even in its empty state, the Applebee's building was not an unattractive building. It was maintained brick and all this, and then you see just this white glob and holy cow. I understand that's just a primer coat and there's going to be some additional paint going on there, but that goes back to the things that we deal with in city government. We don't want to be onerous with our permitting process, but we also need to make sure when you open up a public place that the egresses are there, the entry exits, the fire exits, the sprinklers, whatever else you have to operate a public space is there. And they came in initially, got the liquor license to open up a Mexican restaurant. As I understand it, there's a couple locations. It's not a major chain. But then nothing happened, and all of a sudden things started happening.
Yeah.
So, especially when the paint started going out, that really caught people's attention. And one of our employees stopped there and asked what was going on. And the workers there claimed ignorance to everything, claimed they didn't know who they were working for and didn't know what was going on, and they were just there. And so we had to stop and kind of, hey, we got to get this figured out. Somebody needs to talk to us and let us know what's going on here. So that just played out, obviously, in the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah.
And so we're still trying to get some information, and we don't have timelines other than, again, that's always the trap for us is, somebody comes up with this idea, we're going to do this, and it gets great public attention. Everybody gets excited about something new or different. And then all of a sudden, somebody goes dark or the promises that were made initially don't get followed through on. And so I think my first interview here, talking about my time here, it's just, I've seen this happen enough.
Yeah.
I've got to get the program, so we're always a little extra cautious. And hopefully, usually there's another restaurant in town doing the same thing. We went in and claimed ignorance about everything, and now we're trying to get them back on track. And they came in and got permits and what they need to do. But we'll see where it goes. But hopefully, the right people get in touch with us, get right back on the right path. And again, it is amazing when you get somebody who's a regular developer, especially when they've worked in the suburban area where you're used to dealing with a code and building department and building plans. Things go really smoothly. It's when you try to fight the system that things get sideways a lot. And if you work with us, because people are, again, I get it, especially now, construction costs, people are trying to save every penny they can on a project, but at the same time, we can't just look the other way because people want to save a penny, and it just takes that one disaster. And it's just like downtown for our codes. We saw what happened in Provincetown several years ago, and you lose half a block and everything that goes with that. And that's the last thing we want to see. And we can't make all the changes overnight, but incrementally you want to make those things better. And so as people take these projects on, you turn something in an outlot, or you turn something like the Applebee's over, we want to make sure it's done right at the same place. And that's the time to do it when it's unoccupied, remodeling's going on. So that's our big goal.
So we have a couple road, projects going on right now.
A few.
Yeah. So the biggest ones that stand out to me, of course, is Light Street, which I was a huge proponent of.
Yeah.
I've always had dreams of Light Street being this place where you sit outside, you have your burger at 312.
Sure.
So I'm like, wow, my dream might be coming true.
Yeah. So, and that's, it's one of those things where it's one block of road. So when I first started, I hate to start dating myself here, but we would kind of plan for $25,000, $30,000 a block. Now we're close. We're pushing, especially if there's curb and gutter, we're pushing $80,000 a block. And Light Street, There was the old Standard building that used to be there. It was the original where one of the newspapers in the community used to be. That got demoed, I'm going to say 7-8 years ago, maybe longer than that even. We wanted to save that building, but it was just so far gone. But that building was now a gravel lot. It was behind the old, what used to be First Avenue Jewelers. So we're going to pave that, turn it into a formal parking lot, and then, as you said, when you go down Light Street, you want it to be a gathering place, which is why we put the string lights up and try to give it a little bit of a vibe. But at the same time, you probably would notice there were grease traps, dumpsters, strewn all over the place. So as part of this, and the drainage, there was no drainage there to speak of. So we are putting in a storm sewer, and then we're putting in dumpster corrals to try and get the dumpsters a little bit more hidden and more organized back there. So we're adding parking spaces, repaving the storm sewer, and then, again, as we were talking before we went on air, start digging, and the problems you found a sanitary sewer that was unmarked, and several of the buildings feed into it, so we're going to have an emergency change order. I don't know if we're going to get it done this week or if we'll have to wait till the regular council meeting, but we're talking like $120,000, $140,000 to fix sewer that was unanticipated, and those are always the bugaboos. So when we budget for what we're going to do for roads,
and it always ends up more than that.
It almost never ends up less, like maybe 2% of the time. So that's just, we want to come up with a list of projects, but we know we have to keep money back too, because inevitably this happens with one of the projects over the years. So it's kind of, it came to a standstill for a bit, and which stinks for the businesses there, because we had a open house to talk about the project and invite all the businesses that are affected by this, and you have everything from like D&E's loading docks are back there to where all the dumpsters are, and then with the improvements to Light Street several years ago, well, some of the light improvements, now you have businesses facing Light Street that didn't have frontage there, and they're obviously very inconvenienced, and it's always a problem too. Everyone wants to have something done, but the inconvenience of it along the way causes a lot of heartache, and unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot of ways to deal with it sometimes, and we're stuck, and businesses get the short end of the stick on that one. But hopefully, the end product is worth it to the people that are there, and we've tried to make as many accommodations as we can. And then just when you think you got everything ironed out, we can get this done in the shortest time frame possible, then you find there's a sanitary sewer that's broken that nobody knew existed.
Yeah, that doubles the price of everything.
Yeah, and so it stinks, but hopefully once we get that approved, I think I just got an email yesterday. I think it was like a 2-week order time on manholes, and so I think there were 4 manholes down there that got to be put in and were unanticipated before. So that's another 2 weeks that we're stuck waiting.
But it's still moving forward.
It is moving forward.
As fast as you can.
As fast as ordering timelines, supply chains allow us. So it's a delay that we didn't anticipate, didn't want, but we had a discussion out there, the Public Works Director and I, is like, is this something we could probably ignore it because nobody's complaining about the sewer right now, but we know there's cracks in it, there's a part that's collapsed, but is this something where we put all this money, $400,000 into Light Street, and then 5-10 years down the road, the sewer becomes a problem, we're digging up what we just did, and we've had our number of experiences where our predecessors save money and overlooked a problem or cut a corner somewhere, and we end up paying for it more later. And he's like, so we're going to take care of this, or what are we going to do? And he's like, it's a lot of money. And I said, I don't want to be the person where our successors look back and say, I wish our predecessors would have done this. I don't want to be that guy. So not that I have a reputation for not wanting to spend money, but at the same time, when it comes to doing something the right way, I want to do something the right way the first time. That way we're not getting cursed at years down the road for not having done it.
Like First Avenue.
Right. So, yes.
But speaking of delayed projects, Second Street.
Second Street's not, well, Second Street was delayed for years, the actual construction, because I made the mistake of getting a state grant, and I was really excited when I first got it because it was $1 million grant, and I thought this was a great thing to be able to put that bike path along the side, but it came with so many strings, I think it cost us more. So it always sounds great to get a grant, but then all the strings attached just either add delays or costs or both, and delays generally are cost because inflation being what it is, especially in the construction industry.
Especially at this specific time period.
Yes, yeah, right. That didn't help. So Second Street, from the time we bid the project out, we're still more or less on pace. And the Second Street should still be open at the end of this construction season. The finalized date is next year, but that's because if people aren't aware, the bike path will actually have a bridge over Route 40. And so the bridge is being fabricated this year and is set to be put in place next year. So that'll be the final for the project. But the actual paving, sidewalk, all that stuff from First Avenue all the way to Broadway and 3rd Street, that should still be done yet this fall. So that's all on track. We've only been at a few complications. And this has happened to us on our local road projects at the Riverfront and 2nd Street is utility coordination. So you put in the bike path, we change the center line on the road and kind of narrow it up a little bit. Poles get moved, water lines get moved, and gas lines, fiber, phone lines that still exist. And getting all those utility companies to cooperate and in a timely fashion has been a challenge. And there's pushback because obviously we've got more projects going on this summer than probably has ever taken place in a single year when it comes to construction between, again, all of our street projects, because when we were backed up, we thought 2nd Street was going to go last year, so we didn't spend all the money that we were going to spend last year because we thought we were going to need it for 2nd Street. So all last year's road project money plus this year's road project money all got spent on our local projects, and then plus 2nd Street, plus the Riverfront, plus Light Street. All those utility companies are moving poles all around, lines all around, and getting them to be responsive because it's not just here. Sterling's not in a bubble.
Yeah.
ComEd's operating all over Northern Illinois, being asked to move for projects, and it has gotten worse. I can say that in the last 10 years, trying to get cooperation out of them, and they're really not moving until the very last minute, and it's causing issues for the contractor for the most part, and they work around it. And like our crews, West 5th Street, where the old VOC building was, next to Avenue G, we're redoing that. But our guys can't go in and move the curb, or can't set the curb in place until ComEd moves the poles because they're in the curb line right now, or what will be the curb line. And so we're at their mercy to do that. When that delays the curb, until the curb's in place, the road won't be repaved. So it's just, everything's dependent upon them, but they're not ready to move until the last minute when the project's for sure, because they don't want to waste their time moving utilities for projects that may or may not happen. They want to make sure it's happening, but by the time we get on their schedule, it's putting us weeks, if not months, behind on some things. So that's ties into the Riverfront. For a quick update on that, most of the work is done. The building should be done in the next probably 6 weeks or so. Most of the splash pad equipment's up. If people have driven down there, most of the playground equipment's up. We're waiting on a water meter, waiting on power, we're waiting on gas. And so all these are things that are out of our control. It's out of the contractor's control too, unfortunately. So we're kind of at their mercy, and everybody's excited to have something. Everybody wants to set a ribbon cutting date, and I've been hesitant to commit to anything. I always hate to commit to deadlines because I've been around long enough to know that it just doesn't work, especially when things are not under your control. I don't know if anybody will get to. The splash panel may run for a brief period before fall sets in. If nothing else, we've got to test everything out. But shortly after that, we'll have to winterize it. So people might get a taste or a splash of the splash pad coming up. But we have other things like all the pedestrian lighting down there. The security system is dependent on fiber. We haven't had that run yet. Contract signed, but it's not run. We have a whole security system down there, like I said, to make sure, try and keep the park as vandal-free and as safe and secure as possible. And then the other component is technologically advanced. The door operating system is actually controlled remotely through a system, and that also requires fiber, so we can't open the doors to the bathrooms and close them until the fiber's run. It's just all these little different pieces, and as much as you want to plan ahead, you still end up at the mercy of other companies who don't necessarily have the impetus to have the project done that we might have locally.
Yeah, that's the repeating theme, right, of everything we've talked about.
It is, absolutely.
We're at the mercy of these utility companies when it comes to our timelines and deadlines.
And then it's like everything else we deal with. It was a state agency we were discussing yesterday, is how mad do you want to make them? How hard do you want to push? Because you're going to need them in the future and their cooperation. So you don't want to poke the bear too hard,
Yeah.
because it's going to come back to bite you later. So I don't know what the answer is.
So with 2nd Street, so we're looking at fall, we'll be able to drive on
Yeah, it should be. I think the original projection was October, and I think that's probably still good. They've had, other than the utility changes, we've knock on wood, I think we've only had one sewer line that is right at 2nd Avenue and 2nd Street, and they're working on a solution to that right away. So I think everything there, for as large of a project as that is actually going relatively smooth, which is nice to report.
You haven't mentioned the giant crane, which is the part I'm most excited about.
Yeah, so I forget what the tonnage is, but it's supposed to be like the largest crane that'll probably ever be here. But as I understand it, it'll be like the largest structure that they've put up for that bridge, because so as the path comes down 2nd Street from the Dillon home. So again, it'll be kind of cool because between the Dillon Foundation and the Park District, they've got the bike path run all the way out to behind Walmart and Peabody's out there. And you can take that all the way to Woodlawn, connect at Woodlawn and go through Sinisippi and of course along the river. And then you'll be able at the Dillon home, obviously go towards the Hennepin Feeder Canal or towards downtown along 2nd Street. And once you get to 2nd Avenue, it'll go south to 2nd Avenue to the railroad tracks and follow behind Bradford Supply. And then the bridge will go right along the railroad bridge and land you in the former National parking lot there. From there, to get to the riverfront, it's either the sidewalk underneath the viaduct, or I think in the long term, we'll probably look at trying to put a 10-foot path in front of the former National, where we're talking about the Barrel and Boards project, and then wrap that towards the farmers market area down 2nd Street, so people have a path to get there. So hopefully, within the next summer, go all the way from the riverfront to Peabody's and Walmart, all on a bike path.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Be able to walk, go on the bike.
So we're not to go on too far of a tangent, but we're working on trying to get some pieces developed between. We've got the path that goes all the way from Westwood along Lynn Boulevard. Our guys are trying to complete. Now that Route 40's got a path on it, we're trying to connect to that. There's one little segment left, and we had to get an easement. We've got the easement now, and that's where Sauk Valley Bank is. So you'll be able to go from Route 40 all the way to Westwood in the very near future. And then now we're trying to put the eastern components together. So we've got, the trails picks up again at 6th Avenue and goes to Franklin School. So we're trying to work out that. We've been working with the Whiteside County Housing Authority on getting an easement through their property to make that connection from Locust Street to 6th Avenue. So we're looking pretty good there. It's not going to be a cheap project. We've got, if anybody's driven down Lynn Boulevard, there's a pretty good ditch there. So we'll have to put tubes in there and then build on top of that. But it should be able to we're trying to get a whole circular thing here and really get the bike path kind of completed so that people have a safe means and to get around the community. And it's just one of those little enhancements that when people are trying to come back and they come home and they see places that have these amenities, that they've got it here too, so they can come back to Sterling and really have all those things that they had in the big city and all the opportunities that we provide.
Yeah, I think that's something that people don't realize, that walkability of our town is a priority of the city, and it's small. It's like the improvements are happening. Yeah. It goes at the same pace that everything goes at, which is slow, but it is something that is improving.
And we've had. The Park District's done a lot of it, with the help of the Dillon Foundation. It's been huge, and we're very thankful for all that they've put into it. And, there's different grants out there, but at the same time, it goes back to like 2nd Street. It almost turns out to be cheaper to do it yourself, and that's kind of what we've been doing. But resources being what they are, it's a bit at a time, and it's how you eat an elephant type of thing is one bit at a time, and we're not going to get it all built overnight, but it's been a big thing for us, and just not only that, but I think you've seen for 20 years I was here, and I don't know how many years before, our local parks. So I think people don't always recognize that the city owns some parks, the Park District owns some parks, and they're their own board, their own taxing, we're our own council, our own taxing, but we didn't invest in our own parks and for a long time, and it was something that I thought, again, for the neighborhoods, for the community, that we really needed to take a look at that, because it's a huge thing, especially if you're a parent of a young one, to have those amenities there. And we've done everything from the futsal court to, putting in the new, there's 12 and up. I don't know what the proper term is, but like a Ninja Warrior type
Yeah, I
course
was gonna
over
say
at
the
Platt,
Ninja.
and then 12 and under over at Lincoln Park. And we've got new park equipment that went into Wallace this year, and then we're working on new park equipment at Platt. We put up a shelter at Platt. So we've been trying to make our own improvements and really help out. It was almost an embarrassment that we had neglected our parks for so long, but the city's made a real commitment to that, and I'm proud of that, and hopefully that's part of the bigger picture.
I'm proud of it too. I was really
good.
proud of that little Ninja equipment that went in at Lincoln Park because the schools use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're trying.
Well, thank you, Scott, for being here with me today.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and thank you to our listeners and to our production crew as well. Remember that the Radar Free Press is free, so we do rely on those likes, shares, and comments to keep us thriving. And for more videos like this, check out theradar.online.